Yo. Imagine when a student tells you that he does not want to write exam again. Like they are telling you, please, Charlie, don't set exam again. After school, like we should just carry our bag and be going home. Then you tell us that we have passed. Right? Hello, lovely people. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever it is you're tuning or watching from. Welcome to the Lifestyle Show here on Notre TV. I still remain your humble host, EJ. Thank you all very much for the follow-up on YouTube. So if you haven't followed the Lifestyle playlist, please do follow us on YouTube. Follow us from Notre TV on YouTube. Like, subscribe, and keep sharing. Once again, you are welcome. Today, we'll be looking at the impact of exam on students' mental health. That is the topic for today's show. And with me in the studio today are two beautiful people that are going to be helping me talk about this very special topic. So I'll begin with introducing Miss Jessica. She's been here before, actually. Miss Jessica, what? I'm sorry. Elendu. Miss Jessica Elendu. She's actually a very familiar face, so it's good to have you here, ma.
Thank you so much.
How are you doing?
I'm okay, thank you.
Thank you very much for joining us today.
It's a pleasure.
And then we have Mr. Latif Valiu. Did I pronounce it right?
That's good.
He's the organizer for Togo National Debate. Also a very familiar face here. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us.
You're welcome.
It's so good to have you here. So thank you guys for joining us in the studio today. All right, so exploring the effect of exam, on students' mental health. First of all, let's begin with understanding what exam is. Before the show started, I told the people that I don't want to write exam. I like, it's not funny, yo. Is it possible that after graduation we won't write? They'll just give us book, stamp it and say, okay, you are certified, you're now a graduate. Do you get? So let's begin with understanding what exam is, or the concept of exam. Ma, please, can you help us with that?
Okay, thank you so much, AJ. Exam is a way the school try to assess the students so far with the work done, because we have some people 7, some people 9 months in school. So there is a time you need to assess them. When you be teaching them, there is assessing time to make sure they understand what they have been taught so far, examine their level of understanding. So that is about exam. Exam is just assessing the level of the students. All
right, before we continue, I forgot to mention that Miss Jessica is actually an English lecturer. Yeah, she's actually an academician, right? That's the word. Yeah, exactly. So then Mr. Latif, sir, please, what is your concept of exam? Do you buy what she's saying?
Yeah, I think as a lecturer, that's normal. And
okay.
Okay. It's that's what exam is. You've been coming to school for 6 months or more, and the purpose is to test you and see whether you really mastered what is being taught to you.
Taught in school.
And that's the most important thing. And
all right then. So what signs show that students feel stressed during examination?
No, I think there are a lot of ways to show very easily that students feel stressed, because there are a lot of these luggages that are called courses. And with that, it depends also on the it depends on the university that you belong to. Especially when you're from Université de Lomé, for example, you'll be having up to 9 to 10 courses a semester. So it's normal you get stressed when you have an examination. In the past, we have a semi-semester test, and then we have the examination, the end of the semester examination. But now at the university is direct. There is no more like
there's no more test.
So
right?
there is a direct exam.
Okay.
So imagine the stress. Like you fail, you come back
for
year.
the right to write it. Are they signs? Have you seen signs? I mean, you handle students. What are some of the signs you've seen on, like, students portray during examinations?
You see a lot of stress. Some people end up getting sick.
Okay.
Some people get sick. You see the student very normal during the academic year. When it's time for exam, you see that anxiety, that fear in them. That really worries lecturers.
Does it? It doesn't seem to me like it does, man.
Oh, we are humans, actually. Please, we are humans. So it does.
All right. Okay, fine. I'll come back to the stress you talked about, right? I'll come back to it. Now, how do different exam type, we have the continuous assessment, final exams, and etc., right? How does it affect students? Like, first of all, we have student assessment. You talked about it. There's a final exam, test in classes and all of that. How does it affect, what impact does it have on students?
I think
on their mental health, basically.
Yeah, I think we're humans, and our mental capacities are not the same, and the same thing also applies to students. The mental capacities are not the same. Some students master very easily, so when it comes to examination, they're not that stressed, and the impact is not that heavy on them compared to some others that don't have that capacity. So I just gave the example of 10 courses right now. There are some students, as soon as it goes beyond 5-6 courses, finish, like they don't have that mental capacity for them to stand that. Now, the point about the mental health is, when you're stressed and you go through all days, like 10 courses, examination on 10 courses, all these, for example, when you go to Université de Lomé, one course, you can have up to like 3 different books apart from the handout, the booklet itself. That one course, and you need to do that for up to 10 courses. So you almost have a half library in your house just for a semester. So
okay, Miss Jessica, you said something about what's it called? You made mention of the fact that some students get very agitated they are all fine, like during the whole semester period, but then once it comes to towards the ending session where they have to write exam, you see them fidgeting, some of them fall sick and all of those things. And Mr. Latif is he's making us understand that there are bulky books or textbooks that are being given to students, right, to reverse and read. Now, first of all, why do you think students go through that? Why do you think there's that anxiety during that last period of time? And can you guys cut down on the textbooks you give to students? Is it possible? I don't get it.
Actually, let me take the last one.
Right.
To cut it down, sometimes is doable, but sometimes we do that to just enrich them. It's not about, actually, it's for you to have at least the mind, just to have an idea of what to do. You must not get everything A, B, C, D. Have an idea. You can have a resume. That's what you don't understand. When they give you a lot of books like that,
yes,
just have a resume of what it's all about. With your normal logic, you understand the rest. You don't need to get 1 plus 1. For example, even if you have 10 handouts, as he said earlier, you must not read throughoutly A, B, C, D. Have a resume of what he's talking about. Let's take, for example, colonization.
Right.
What's colonization talking about? Then if you have an idea of what colonization is talking about, then on your own, you can bring your own idea, you can be creative about it, without saying word to word what the lecturer wrote
inside. Okay, so are we saying that, the fact that some of the students go for word to words, is that the reason why there's that? I'm sorry, hold on. Is that the reason there's that anxiety during the exam period?
No, I think
some lecturers are mean. I'm going to be very blunt with you. They are so mean to the extent that this word for word, they want you to give them what. I have a lecturer that will tell you, give me, as in, write it. He will so emphasize, say, write very well. So you'll be writing like 3 to 4 papers, like answer booklets. And at some point, it's not enough. Some point where you're coming out with 80 and all of that. So are we saying is the bulky, the fact that they're reading word for word, is that the reason why?
No, I think what she's trying to say is very easy. We have every course has prerequisites. So students need to base themselves on the prerequisite for them to know what can come in exam, because lecturers usually base themselves on the prerequisites of the courses.
They don't follow it.
For them to come up with the exam papers,
Okay.
right? Students they're not that clever to go first to the prerequisite for them to know what's this course about, what are the important things, So students don't do that. That's why they need to read from cover to cover for them to come up and sit for one course, right? But the second point, which is also very important, which I can buy your idea, is there are sometimes for some courses there are a lot of useless documents that we attribute to students to read. Which don't even they have nothing to do with that course, or they have nothing to do for the future of
the course they are studying,
because the students is studying. For example, I've been talking about this for like 2 years, even at the English department.
Okay.
There are some books that are
they are not necessary.
They are not necessary to be given to students,
okay.
right? And I've been talking about this. These books need to be removed, and sometimes also our education, we need to domesticate our education.
Okay.
We need to try to make it our own, right? Sometimes a lot of courses that are given to us
are being adopted
from the Western, and we just attribute it to our schools and finish, and our students just take it and they start reading it, and there is no domestication. And sometimes it's very easy to learn or to read when courses are domesticated. I was in Ghana, I know what that means, right?
Okay. Now, Mr. Latif made mention of prerequisites. Another word for it is AOC. Shebi? Or scheme of work. Now, okay, let's say you're being given scheme of work. Will you believe or will you agree with me that some lecturers set question outside scheme of work? True or yes? Let's not lie.
Of course.
Okay, so if you read, even when you read word for word, and you come to exam hall and you are seeing question that it's not even in the handout. So tell me, what's the guarantee that the student passes the course?
I think lecturing also is a calling, right? It's not like something you go and learn and come and practice. There are some lecturers that don't know how to lecture.
Miss Jessica, I'm sorry. Why do lecturers do that though? What happens that you have to set questions outside AOCs, or outside scheme of work or prerequisite, like Mr. Latif called it?
As you said earlier, some lecturers are just mean, okay? But normally, there are two ways. There are sometimes we set questions that are not really what you're expecting.
Right.
But if you understand, if there's a particular word we put in, if you understand very well the question, some students, they just see the question, they jump on it. They don't try to understand. If you try to understand very well the question, you will know that this is the synonym of what you think, like what you have in your book. Sometimes we set questions which are not really equal to what you have in your book, but when you understand it, you see that it's just synonymous. It's another way of learning English. Just to know that, okay, this is not, they say Amma goes to school,
right?
But it's another way to say Amma goes to school. It's all about understanding.
Now,
it's also schooling.
You talk about understanding, which we could use the word logic, illogical reasoning, right? Not every child or not every student is embedded with that. Don't forget, we're talking about mental health, right? So how about, okay, first of all, testing that child's mental capacity, right? Then you follow suit. Do you get? You're setting questions that are outside scheme of work, right? It is supposed to, in a way, affect that child's mental capacity.
The aim is to develop the creativity.
How are you developing the creativity aspect of the child when the child ends up failing?
Let me give you an example. I advise you to go and write TOEFL exam. When you write TOEFL exam, you understand what I'm saying. Most of those questions, you have to understand before you write. Like, they are not exactly what you think they are. For example, as I said earlier, they'll be like, what's the president of Afghanistan? They will not give it to you like that. It's too easy for them. They will put some English words inside, but what they mean is, what's the president of Afghanistan? It's just, as he said, it's just to develop your mental capacity. That is what schools are for.
Okay, now we talk about mental capacity and the building up. Okay, let me agree with what you people have just said. It's a way of developing a child's mental capacity. How about in institutions or this our present African institution, right? Kids are being mentally tested to know their capability before actually doing what you do as a school dean or a lecturer to set an exam. How about you guys implement that? I don't understand. In Western world, they do it, right? You test the child. You test that child's ability to do things, to assimilate things. Then you know how to forward your testing. Do you people do it in schools?
No, I think this is you're confusing things, because I think this rather has to do with examination.
Yes,
When
it
has
is.
to do with examination. It has nothing to do with I don't know what's the name we call it. To have access to the university, for example, when you finish having like your baccalaureate, you want to now apply. In Anglophone countries, we do that admission.
Right.
So I think this is not going to be applied like we're trying to do an admission to students, but rather this is an exam.
Yes.
And this is a period where when you finish that year, let's imagine you're doing your bachelor's degree right now, and you're in your third year. This is a period where when you finish, you're going to be calling yourself a graduate, and you want to start applying for jobs. So why do you want us to be like doing things very in a petty way, which we know is not going to be in your advantage, like in your future career?
It's weird. It's very weird. Okay, fine. Let's push forward. Are there lasting effect on mental health from examination stress years to come? Do you think there are lasting effects on children or on a student's mental health, like years to come, because of these examination processes or tensions or stress?
This examination processes, first of all, it does not only come, like if I remember one of your questions talking about cultural and societal impacts.
Yes.
It does not only come from schools. Okay, we will do our own. Parents also do their own. Don't forget, those days when we're in school, your parents always disturb you to learn to read. Or if you pass, they will give you this and that. If you don't pass, they will punish you. If you don't pass, you are going to have this. So that's already another mental stress
on its own
from the house before you come. That alone, if you sit down, you try to write your exam and you think about, maybe you don't understand what the question is talking about. Instead of being concentrated, you will not be thinking of what mommy said at home that is awaiting you, or you are thinking of how you are not going to get this particular gift. So it's not from us about school. So if a student will have that impact, it's not only from the school, it's from the house also. But what should we do? In the house, there is a way parents need to go about the whole thing. For example, your child is going, for example, assist the person. Assist.
Some parents end up beating.
That is the thing. You make it easy for them. Make it like accommodate. Just make it easy for them. Stay with them. Learn with them. Read with them. Let the environment be conducive. The heart and the mind will be at rest. The spirit will be at rest. Will be in a position to learn, to receive. But when you beat them, when you burn your face, they're already stressed. The spirit is already standing up. Their brain is already on alert. Their heads are already standing up. Any other thing is just jump packing. That affects their mental health. It's not from school. From the house first.
It's from the house first. Do you agree with this?
Yeah, I think it even starts from home before even coming to the schools.
Exactly.
Right? So, yes, lecturers.
Did you experience some of this home thing that she's talking about?
No, it's not. Especially as an African, it's normal we experience that. Only few families, try to go through the conducive way like she's talking about. So I think this is something all of us go through. Even there are even some parameters that your parents even set for you, like if you don't do this, you're not doing this. Like if you fail for exam, you're not eating. Or there are some courses, if you don't go to class today, you're not eating at home and all those stuff. Instead of making the person understand why it is important for the person to go to school, so that psychologically the person will
be able to reset
him or herself to go to these courses, to go to school, right? Rather than putting force. So it seems like the person is going to school to avoid the consequences behind.
Do you know these parameters that parents set for kids? It leads so many children to doing so many things. Do you get? Some of them go as far as changing their result before getting home.
I'll give you an example of what I did. I did. I was in class 3.
Right.
I was going to one school at Casablanca. They call it Pusini.
Okay.
My mom was expecting me to be among the 5 tops. But I wasn't. I was among the 10s. So when I from the road, I was thinking of what to do. And I know that the kind of pressure I got from the house.
Right.
So from the road before going to the house, already thinking. When I got there, so I was like, how was it? I said, I'm the 3rd. I came to, she bought me cocktail, she bought me
wow,
food.
right.
At least in my mind it's just like, for that few minutes,
you're fine.
Let me enjoy. Any other thing that will come, let it come. And tutoring came the next day. She followed me to school. Ask the lecturer, thank you, you helped my daughter. She's third. Who is third? I entered the class. It's after the class now that I got the punishment at home. I was beaten wonderfully. That was my first sentence. So yeah, it happens. It's from the house. It's from the house. Actually, I just wanted to have that small piece for the moment. At least as I came back, let me enjoy. And I enjoyed it, trust me. Oh, for eating I ate, drinking I drank. But I know the next day what was waiting for me, I was already set for it. And I got it.
Some parents are too hard.
They are.
You know, like caning processes. I'm one that went through that. Like hard, you have to learn to read and write.
They always feel like
they cane.
Do it. You see that kind of mentality.
Right.
What I cannot do, let my daughter do it.
Exactly.
So it comes with a lot of responsibility, a lot of weight on the child. That is
Mr. Latif, do you think that with all of this whole stress that we are talking about, or mental stress attributed to, the subject of examination, can exam be avoided?
I think...
I know it's a selfish question.
This
is a very selfish question, but then, is it possible that we can stay without having examination?
There's an impossibility with a very big I.
Damn, yo.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let me tell you why. When students come to class, we give them courses for a semester,
right?
And after that, we give them exam papers. After the examination, during the correction, when
processes.
we correct the correction processes, what we see and what we read, sometimes it's very disappointing.
Wow.
As lecturers, 6 months of courses. You have perhaps 1 week or 2 weeks of preparation for the exam.
Right.
You come to the exam, and still, what we read and what we see on the papers is like something else, right? And sometimes we get mad when we correct their papers. And imagine, what I'm trying to say is this: even with this process, still the result is not that good. The result is very bad. So imagine now we cancel the exam, because majority of students now come to school because of exam, because they just want to do it for them to get a good mark at the end and then continue their way. So imagine we say, okay, there is no more exam. Many people will not even come to school, first. 2, I think the creativity process is going to be low, like very, very low.
That's the expectation from students.
Exactly, and I think this is the students' loss, and this contributing like to a very.
So you're saying that examination helps students perform better?
Yeah, even with examination, at the employment field,
right?
No, this is very bad. With all this background, when you get to the employment field, when these students are recruited for some jobs and all those jobs, their first 2 years is like a mess. Right? So imagine we cancel the exams. What's going to happen? Okay,
so since it cannot be cancelled, right? How can schools and teachers support students, right? Mental stress during examination. How can schools support students to ease the mental stress during examination period? Okay. What are the processes you guys have put in place to help us ease our stress during examination process?
Okay, I'll give you an example. While I was in school, an American school at Kotekokonji, what they are doing for us is that I just focus in American school,
right?
That's why they are doing it. Okay. What they are doing is, for example, when we have physics, the lecturer tells us, okay, read chapter 1. Chapter 2, a bit of chapter 3. At least you have a guide. You know what to read. Okay. When it comes to chemistry, read this, read that. Like they are all short things. Then you don't read the whole book, not knowing where the exam question is coming from. Now they will guide you on where it will come from. So that really helped us those days. That really actually helped me.
How about now? Do you guys still do it?
In my time of teaching, I've not seen that happening. That's why I say I don't know if because it's American, so that's why. But I wish if we do that now, it will really help them.
Salatif, what do you think?
Education in Africa is very theoretical. It's not practical.
Not fair.
Which is why I've been talking about this, right? I prefer for us to contribute to this, right, I prefer we move from the theoretical things we teach in school to the more practical ones. Because students are going to feel more embedded into what they are learning.
Yes.
Right? Because the thing is, they come and you're talking about H2O, you're talking about CO2, you're talking about, they will feel like, okay, fine. They will just come and put the letters over there and disappear, right? Let's make it more practical. I teach in a Z Global, is one of a private university here in Lomé, and even mechanical engineering students are still complaining that their courses are still theoretical; they are not practical. Sorry, so this is the problem. We need to make our courses more practical for the students to feel embedded into the thing. That's one. And the second thing is we need to domesticate our education.
Right.
Please, it's very important. There are a lot of things we teach our children or our students, they don't even know about, like they have no clue of what they are learning.
Right.
We need to domesticate a lot of things.
Bring everything back home.
Right. And even some courses teach some of these courses even in our mother tongues. In our local languages for children of 2, 3, 4, 5 years to be able to comprehend, rather than just, I don't know, making things look very spiritual to children.
All right then, people. Mr. Latif said spiritual. It's not funny, yo. The exam is spiritual. All right, people, we've come to the end of today's show. First of all, I want to say a very big thank you to you, Mr. Latif, for coming. Ms. Jessica, I want to say thank you. Is there any wrap up you guys want to give me before we call it today? Any wrap up from you?
Oh, that's fine.
All right, any wrap up? Yes, please.
For all the parents out there,
right?
Please encourage your children. Stop giving them pressure. When they have a examination, or even if they bring assignments home,
right,
assist them.
Right.
Assist them kindly, not harshly. Harshly, it affects them. It affects them mentally before they come to the school.
Right.
So, parents, I implore you, assist your children calmly. Then also we, the lecturers,
yes,
we should also give students what they need.
All right, thank you very much. You guys have heard it from Miss Jessica. First of all, thank you all very much for coming. Now, the wrap up for this show, you guys have heard what she said, but then caning is a very aggressive way of correcting a child who's in school. It has a lasting impact on that child mentally. So there are other ways to actually correct a child, to throw that child in love, and at the end of the day, the result is better. Thank you all very much for joining us for today. Thank you very much, guys, for coming. Until we come your way next week, stay blessed, stay safe. Plenty love from me to you. Bye bye.